What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here with Ali. No first name. Heard you talking about that recently.
Yeah, the name might have changed, but the person behind it doesn't, and it's all good. You know what I mean? Now it's easy. Now people know who I am. You know what really was happening, though? One side of the crowd would chant Mustafa, and the other side would chant Ali. And it was just a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Now there's no confusion.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the person behind the name. You had these great vignettes that you were very clearly instrumental in, and it seems like you still are as they've made their way to WWE TV. How much input do you have on those now?
They're mine, 100% mine. They're not written, they're not produced, they're not directed by anything WWE. I showed a few samples of Vince McMahon himself, some of the producers, and Vince's direction was, if we get involved with it, it's going to become its own thing. I like what I see. Go out and make it your own. So he literally tells me when he needs them, and I make them. So it's very, very cool that someone's self-producing, self-writing, self-directing, and making their own vignettes.
You were abruptly called up from 205 Live. How far ahead did you hear about that?
I didn't find out. There's no advance notice here. It's like a recurring theme up here. I had showed up for the SmackDown Live TV taping and was told that night that I would be having that match with Daniel Bryan, and I was assured that it was just a one-time deal. It's a one-time. You're still on 205. It's just a one-time, but make the most of this opportunity. And I was just thinking, like, oh, let me use this moment to get some exposure for 205 Live. Maybe I'll capture some fans' audience and bring it over to 205. And then the following week I showed up and I was told that morning that, hey, you're making the move to SmackDown. You're teaming with AJ Styles versus Bryan and Cena, and you're on SmackDown now.
And that was the double taping, wasn't it? Where you had the two shows back to back? Because I remember you had the match, and then a lot of people were like kind of waiting to see what would happen on the next SmackDown to see how you'd be featured. How do you feel about that? Because I mean, you had been involved in some pretty prominent stuff right out of the gate.
I think this year's been a huge roller coaster for me. I mean, I've been on. I went from the guy that was never on a pay-per-view to the guy that was in the main event at Money in the Bank. I pinned the WWE champion at the time, Daniel Bryan, and yeah, I felt like I was being heavily featured and everything was going my way. And then obviously this huge injury comes up and completely takes me out of the title picture. And I've been back for a few months, and I feel like I just can't seem to get my feet, underneath me for some reason. And it's just an issue of there's X amount of hours and so much talent. You know what I mean? I tell everybody that I've climbed that mountain once, and that opportunity was there. I just have to climb it again.
Ali, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.